Chapter 1. The present of this book is Saturday, February 18, 2017. So this is when they're taking the drive to the dump. It's 5 a.m. on a winter morning. 90-year-old Jackie sits in her boxer shorts, counting her blessings. She's taking the advice of her wife, Regina, who came home yesterday from a growing old in the spirit meeting at the senior center, touting gratitude meditation to promote sleep, health, and well-being. Jackie hoped recognizing her blessings would buy her a cat nap. Jackie's well-being is the same as it was when she got out of bed. The pain in her hip as she sits alone on the couch is sharp. She says, "Screw this," and stops counting to look down at her thighs. She remembers her skin is olive-colored, but her legs match her white boxers in the scant morning light. More expansive skin than she remembers, too. She was once 5 feet 10 inches tall and weighed 160 pounds. Last time she went to the clinic, they informed her she was 5'8" and told her to get down to 200. Regina, Jackie's main blessing, pads into the living room in her fuzzy pink slippers, pink flannel nightgown, and matching bathrobe. She sets 2 mugs and a sleeve of saltines on the coffee table and flicks on a light. "Thanks." Jackie raises the mug and watches Regina fuss with the blinds in front of the window. The street of small houses, small yards, and duplex rentals is quiet and shadowy. Regina is as thin as she was when they met 60 years ago, but her 89-year-old spine has contracted her from 5'4" to 5'3". "I'll make breakfast," Jackie says. Breakfast consists of dumping Cheerios into 2 bowls and pouring milk. Lunch and supper have always been Regina's job. "Let's watch the sun come up first." Regina pins her long braid into a gray halo on top of her head, reaches into the pocket of her robe and applies 2 perfect sweeps of plum elegant lipstick without the benefit of a mirror before she sits next to Jackie. The couch, bought on sale at Railroad Salvage 25 years ago, receives Regina with a creak. "Sun won't be up for a couple hours." Jackie takes a bottle of ibuprofen off the coffee table. Regina snuggles into Jackie, who's twice her size. "Our biorhythms are on the same clock," Regina says. "They've been up before dawn 3 days in a row." "You'd still be asleep if I didn't wake you." Jackie kisses Regina's forehead. "You always smell good." She appreciates the bit of flowery vanilla perfume Regina dabs behind her ears, no matter what hour she gets out of bed. They sit quietly for a few minutes. "Your hip hurts. Eat those crackers if you're taking pills with coffee." Jackie scooches a foot away. "You're in the dumps today." She frowns. "We should get a pain patch for your hip and stay up later so you're not struggling to sleep in the morning. We'll start watching Rachel Maddow in real time instead of recording it for the next day." Jackie nods and tilts her head against the back of the couch, runs a hand over her buzz cut, and closes her eyes. Regina has long since stopped wondering how Jackie can be comfortable walking around the cold house in her underwear. Right now, she wonders how to lighten Jackie's mood. She understands about pain, but the hip has been worse. For the first time in their lives, Jackie isn't bothering to bind her breasts when she gets out of bed. Some days, unless there's a knock at the door, her binder stays off all day. Regina tries to convince herself that this is a good thing. It means Jackie is finally opting for comfort. But Regina can only interpret the expression on Jackie's face this morning as some form of sad and weary. Should Regina just back off and let Jackie be sad and tired? Regina dismisses this idea. Jackie is still Jackie. She's just slowed down. They've been around a long time. They've both slowed down. That's all. "You okay, honey?" Regina asks. Jackie opens her eyes. "I was dreaming. You were sulking. We're getting you out of the house today." Regina goes back to the window, draws the sheets, and stares out at the glow of the street lamp in front of the modest ranch house. An 89-year-old ghost of herself stares back at Regina. She wonders, how much longer? There's not much snow. We haven't been out of the house since, she tries to remember. Tuesday, Jackie says. I dropped you off at the senior center. Jackie scratches the back of her head and yawns. I was daydreaming about the sea colony. Old people reminisced. Might have looked like sulking to you. If you were daydreaming about the bar, you were thinking about Bo, Regina says. Jackie's best friend Bo has been dead for a few years. Did you take the antidepressant? You didn't, did you? Regina comes back to sit and put her head on Jackie's shoulder. I'm going to leave that argument for later, she says. There's plenty of gas in the car. The street is plowed. I'm tired, Jackie says. Of anything in particular? Regina snuggles in. We're going out today. Tired of everything but you, Jackie says. Tired of waking up so early. I'm tired of you being depressed, Regina says. Put your feet up on the top coffee table. Go ahead. Regina has only allowed feet on the coffee table in the last few years. We'll take a nap. I was counting that bar as one of my blessings. Jackie grunts and hoists her feet. I was counting you and Bo and your sister too. Oh, my sister, Lynn. Lynn sighs her sister's name. God, I miss her. She drags the Afghan over them and anchors a hand between Jackie's heavy thighs. Me and Lynn, so different and so close, she says. You and Lynn, Jackie repeats her name with affection. You had some good arguments. She was a spitfire. So were you. She kisses the top of Regina's head. Still am, Regina feigns indignation. You wouldn't have met either of us if we hadn't stopped at that bar. She's quiet for a while, remembering before she starts talking mid-memory. She was reckless and brave, my sister. She rubs Jackie's thigh. A nap, then breakfast. I'll count your blessings for you, she says, stroking. Relax. I know how to put my girl to sleep. So that's the very beginning of the chapter. And then, well, where am I? Okay, so then we go to the memory. As I've said, 90-year-old Jackie and 89-year-old Regina have been holding each other up together with stories for quite a while. At one point, Regina says, young people think about the future because they have so much of it. Old people think about the past because we have so much of that. Much of this book is about the history of these two old women, and therefore it's a bit about history itself. After the opening of the novel, I just read, we turn to 1955 and the Sea Colony, the bar that Jackie was just dreaming about. The bar, this is an actual bar that existed in Manhattan at that time, and for many years after, it was on 8th Avenue. The Sea Colony served anybody who walked in the front of the bar, but it also had an illegal back room that catered to women who socialized and drank and danced together. So if you were a tourist, or even if you lived in the area, you wouldn't necessarily know the back room and its illicit activity even existed. So Regina's visiting her sister Lynn in Manhattan. They're both in their early 20s. Lynn is in Manhattan because she's hiding from an abusive husband she nevertheless misses. It's Regina's first time in the city. It's actually her first few hours in the city. She's right off the bus. She's heard about the bar and decides this is the place where she's going to tell her sister she just can't get herself to like boys. So Regina does a very bad job of trying to explain this to Lynn, because this is something that Regina doesn't really understand or accept herself. So and also because she's very attracted to the bartender, Jackie. So Regina and her sister Lynn go through, I'm just trying to set you up. Regina and her sister Lynn go through a series of misunderstanding. Lynn proceeds to get drunk and they get caught in a bar raid. So the piece, I've redacted the piece a little bit for clarity and to clean up the language just a little bit for Zoom. So Regina's sister Lynn is drunk. Jackie is behind the bar. And the sisters are sitting at a table in the front when the police burst in through the back entrance. So I'm taking you now to I read you the beginning of the chapter, now I'm taking you to the end of the chapter. Lynn trips getting out of her chair and walks a straight line to the bar. Regina grabs her satchel and follows. Jackie comes right over, dragging a rag across the clean bar in front of them. Lynn wastes no time asking her, "Girls dancing? Is that unlegal?" "Illegal. Girls together, boys together, crime against nature." Jackie stares at the back of the wall. "Sounds like they're getting rougher than usual." She bends to untie her wingtips and slips into the penny loafers she keeps under the bar. "Excuse me." She turns so she's not facing them and takes a comb out of her back pocket. When she faces them, her slick back hair has been pulled forward and she has a fringe of brill-creamed bangs. "I hate to ask." She lowers her eyes, scratches the back of her head, and says with a tense smile, "Can I borrow your scarf, Lynn?" "What?" Lynn lifts herself off the stool and sits back down. "I need 3 pieces of women's clothing." Jackie's bow creases as noise coming from the back escalates. "I usually keep a couple of scarves and bracelets here. I don't know where they went." "Why?" Regina unties the scarf from around her sister's neck. "So they can't charge me with pretending to be a man," Jackie says. "No, numb girl." Lynn giggles, stops abruptly, serious. "Dumb girl, not in America," she says. Other customers are whispering. Lynn speaks loudly. "No girl's gonna think you." She frowns. "Well, I did." "Shush, Lynn." Regina takes a chiffon scarf from her purse. "Unbutton your top 2 buttons. Let me." She kneels on the stool and unbuttons Jackie's collar. "Try to sober up," Jackie tells Lynn as Regina arranges the scarves. "You may land in jail if you don't." Regina is handing Jackie her charm bracelet when the cop with the big voice makes an entrance into the room. "You lost sleep. You lost sheep. Come to the wrong watering hole. Don't worry," the cop says. He stands in the doorway between the rooms. "We are the NYPD Vice Squad." Everyone on a bar stool swivels to watch the cop approach the bar. He's a tall white man with a thick neck. He surveys the hushed room with his back to the long mahogany counter. "My name is Smith, with an E. Sergeant Smith at your service. Keep your noses clean and you'll walk out of here with a good story to tell the family back home." There's a thud, followed by the sound of glass breaking in the back room. 2 bodies struggle in the doorway, bounce against the door frame, and stagger a few feet into the front room. One is a cop who keeps telling the person he's struggling with to calm down, calm down. "Enough," Officer Smith bellows, raises his nightstick and brings it down. "Shit!" The person struggling with the cops falls to their knees. "Officer Johnson," Smith laughs. Smith's laugh is mean. "See that thing hanging off your belt? You got bested by a short, fat girl with your nightstick just dangling there." Officer Johnson unhooks the nightstick, which slips out of his hand and skitters, stopping when it slams into Regina's suitcase. Smith shakes his head. He turns his attention to the person on the floor who he just hit. "Well, who have we here? Bonnie Lou Meeks in men's pants and suspenders. Anyone who can turn or stretch their neck to watch the show does." Regina is close and sees the person still on all fours is black and female. Jackie hurries from behind the bar and picks up the nightstick. She exchanges a nod with Officer Johnson as she hands it to him. Take it easy, Sergeant Smith, Jackie says and looks down. You okay, Bo? Bo makes it from all fours to a squat, straightens her suspenders and rubs her thigh. The sergeant looks around the room and feigns a pleasant attitude. Do I look like a man who takes orders from a bartender? He drops the fake tone and growls at Jackie. You want to join your pal on the floor there? Just trying to be of service. Jackie extends a hand to help Bo upright. She don't want no one to get hurt, Sarge. Johnson reattaches the nightstick to his belt loop. Smith slaps his stick against his palm. Keep your mouth shut if you want to keep your job, Johnson. Get back behind the bar, Jackie. He uses the tip of his nightstick to snap one of Bo's suspenders. Bo glares at him and tugs up her pinstripe pants. Those pants are kind of raggedy. You were laid off again, Bonnie, the sergeant taunts. As wide as the officer, but a foot shorter, Bo looks him in the eye when she hisses, My name is Bo. I'll call you whatever I like. How drunk are you, Bonnie Lou? With a ninja's grace, Officer Smith swings his stick in an arc that lands between Bo's legs. Bo yips and crouches. Smith, still holding her, releases Bo from his grip. That ought to sober you up. Regina jumps off her stool. Jackie helps Bo take the seat. If your pal was a real man, that might hurt. Smith glares at Jackie. Didn't I tell you? Get behind the bar. Now he makes an arc with a nightstick to take in the whole room. You gave these folks a good show, Bonnie Lou. He gestures to Johnson, who's still standing like a sentinel 5 feet away. Get her out of my sight. Smith's voice becomes pleasant as he announces charges for Bo: drunk, disorderly, resisting arrest, impersonating, assaulting an officer. Regina stands with her hand on Lynn's shoulders, hoping to keep her quiet and seated. Lynn looks at Smith, still within feet of them. Big Jim would give this guy what for, she says. Smith sticks his face close to Lynn's. You got something to say, little lady? Drunken tourist, Jackie says. I'll take care of her. Mind your business, Jackie, Smith hisses like a pressure cooker about to blow. I'm so sorry, officer. Regina smiles for all she's worth. My sister just lost her husband. She touches her throat. A tragedy. We're from a small town, not used to alcohol. Boom. Lynn shoots Smith with her finger. A night in the cell will take her mind off her troubles, Smith says. My sister wouldn't let me get drunk. Lynn grins idiotically. Regina pats Lynn's arm. We have to let Officer Smith do his job. She smiles sweetly at him. Her husband, she lost him. She's not herself. Regina tries to think of something flattering to say to Smith. She hasn't gotten over him. You see, he was very handsome. We were just saying how much you look like him. Handsomer, Lynn says. Smith seems to think this means he is the handsomer. Something like a smile crosses his face. From the back room, a woman's voice screeches, son of a bitch, followed by what sounds like a chair smashing into the wall. Static comes through Smith's walkie-talkie. He concentrates on the controls. In Smith's moment of distraction, Jackie tells Lynn, sober up and shut up. Jail is a bad place for a drunk. She touches Regina's elbow. If they take you in, cry and ask for Johnson. Don't feel so good. Lynn teeters off the stool and vomits, hitting the tip of Sergeant Smith's shoe. Jesus! Smith shivers with disgust and raises his baton. Jackie points to Regina's suitcase. Sister's right off the bus, she says. I'll be responsible. Bound to mess up your paddy wagon. Jackie locks eyes with Smith. Smith's stick hovers above Jackie's shoulders. Tourist, my ass. The baton slices sideways into Jackie's arm. He leans in and whispers in her ear, you thought your little girlfriend could puke on my shoe because I lost a few bucks to you in a poker game? He shakes his foot and yells, towels. Jackie holds her bruised arm. Another bartender runs over and hands Jackie mop towels. As she wipes Smith's shoe, Smith studies Jackie's ass. Smith studies Regina's ass as she bends to hold Lynn's hair back. This one's cool as a cucumber, Smith said. She a pro? I told you. Jackie stands and rubs her arms. Tourists. Jackie got a boo-boo. Smith yanks the walkie-talkie off his shoulder and speaks into it. Riley, I got 2 more up front for you. Come get them. Jackie sticks close to Smith. The officer's frown turns menacing as Jackie speaks. When you come to the bar after hour, Jackie says, does whoever you're collecting money for know you stay to play cards? Lower your voice before this baton finds your head, Smith snarls. Jackie lowers her voice. Before she's done talking, Smith claps Jackie's bruised arm so hard, Jackie lurches. You're right, Smith says. I don't want a sloppy drunk in my wagon. Clean up and close up. We're even. I owe you nothing. Bo, Jackie says. Bonnie Lou won't get a free ride in my paddy wagon tonight, but that's it. Smith appraises Regina and Lynn with a sneer. Your lucky day, ladies, or whatever you are. This one is wasting a big shit on you. He turns to the crowd and bellows, good night, ladies and gentlemen. This establishment will be closed for the evening in a few minutes and you'll be free to go. By the way, Jackie, he says, walking away, laughing, you look really nice in those scarves.